Hey guys, sorry about yesterday. I ended up getting a phone call and did not get to finish my video. So I'm gonna finish it up for you. And then I'm gonna go from there and tell you how my husband now and I had met and go from there. So about my ex from the video previous to this one. If you haven't watched it, go back and take a look at it. It got to the point that he was stalking me and leaving stuff on my porch and showing up to places that I was that I don't know how he knew where I was, but he knew. Um, I would show up at home and there'd be stuffed animal on my porch, just random things like that. So it's kind of creepy, as you can imagine. It got to the point that my mom had offered to move us out of state. And at first I didn't want to because this is the only place that and I have lived so many other places, but this is my home, and that was hard to leave. But sooner or later, I'm getting nicknames by people because of the way I'm acting. I'm making horrible choices in my life at that point. Obviously, I didn't want to end up in jail. I didn't want to, end up with these nicknames, especially in this town. It's one of those small towns, and I'm sure everybody knows these towns, that everybody knows everybody's business, and it gets back to everybody. And then my dad was a big, scary guy who a lot of people were scared of, and so they would report back to him, and it wasn't always... they weren't always reporting the truth because they weren't part of situations. And he always believed them over me. And he wasn't the type of person that asked you, is this true or is this what's going on? He believed them and that's what was going on, even if it wasn't. So I got to the point in my life, I had graduated, my relationship basically, it was over. And I ended up saying to my mom, okay, let's move. So we moved out of state. And, I took that time to get to know myself. To take time, I got a job, I was taking care of myself, I was focused on me, taking care of myself, being independent, doing all that. So, and it was nice. I didn't have someone to answer to. I didn't have someone who I was crying over every night, or they were, hurting me and breaking my heart. It was nice. So we did move. And I took that time and we lived there. I don't know. I mean, a lot happened. My grandma had dementia and she got to the point she couldn't live alone. So we ended up having to sell her house and move her with us. And, so that was interesting. I ended up getting an apartment next to my mom, at one point. But yeah, so, after I moved there, my dad called to tell me that my ex had been arrested. And it didn't surprise me. I knew it was coming. But it did upset me. I don't know. I cried. I won't lie. I did cry. Obviously, at that point, I still cared about him. And I don't wish bad things on anyone, no matter who you are. And so, that was really sad to me to know that he got arrested. Since then, which has been years now, lots and lots of years have gone by now. He's been in and out of jail. For the same reason, or there's another reason that he's been in and out of jail. So, and pretty sure he's been homeless and just different things. Now, and I think last I heard he's in jail now. It doesn't surprise me. At all. So I did move on with my life then. Still. And I still lived, in this town. And again, I was working, I was taking care of supporting myself, all this good stuff. And so then it came close to my 19th birthday, and some of my family did come to see me. And it was so nice to have some of my family. It was my dad and my cousin that came to see me, and it was a nice surprise. It was wonderful. My mom's family didn't come to see me. That was, I think, a little hard, I guess, because I had always celebrated my birthday. Not that I have to have a party, but with family, and just doing things. And so that was a little difficult for me. And so, the day of my actual birthday, for graduation, let me say that, I got my first laptop. And so I ended up getting a microphone, and I ended up getting on chat rooms. Yes, chat rooms. I'm that old. And so, chat rooms were hard. I don't know if it was just for me or everybody, but the guys were just horny, horrible. They didn't get on and try to have a conversation with you. It was, oh, how big is this? And what size do you wear? And all this, stuff. And I'm not into that. That doesn't flatter me. I don't like that. Gross. So, my husband ended up actually getting on. Not my husband at the time. Obviously. He ended up getting on. And he actually wanted to talk. And we talked and we talked and we talked. And, the problem was that we talked a lot. And he never asked inappropriate questions. He was very polite. He was very nice. So we ended up talking all the time. And back then, being new, being, exciting, he would call my cell phone, and I don't care if there was a pool full of alligators ready to eat me. I would have jumped over them to get to that phone so that I could talk to him. So I was so excited. We would talk and text all day, every day. And so, and again, he's a lot older than me. So we would talk when he was driving for work, because he drives for his job. We would talk all the time. Now, we talked for a while, before we decided to meet, which he drove to see me. And that's how we met. Except for my mom, and I love my mom, but she is one that if she knew how we actually met, she would, now she would be fine because of her mind, but she would have flipped out. And I don't blame her, honestly, because you don't know people. Especially nowadays, you don't know what their intentions are or who they really are, right, online. So I don't blame her. So when we did meet, I had to pretend I already knew what he looked like. I had never seen a picture of him or anything like that. I had sent him pictures and stuff, but he never sent me anything. So when we met, it was so funny, because I didn't drive then either. And so, my mom, so he went to a hotel, and I stopped at Hardee's and got some food and took to him. And I went up to his door and handed it to him. And then he followed my mom and I up to a different area. I can't remember why. And then she went wherever she was going, and then he and I took off. Well, so, I feel like, I mean, I don't want to say it was love at first sight. It was excitement at first sight. I feel like, just seeing someone for the first time and you're, uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's kind of like, what do I do? What do I say? Right? So, so we ended up taking off together, and we went exploring, and we started talking and holding hands and all that lovey-dovey stuff, right? So, and we explored a lot because there was areas that he found that I never even knew existed, or restaurants around there that I didn't even know existed. So I remember before anything, my mom said basically, do not have sex with him you just met him. And so yeah, I ended up staying with him. And we talked and we got to know each other, and it was amazing. And so it started our relationship. We met every 2 months. Either I would go to him or he would go to me. And we did this on and off for probably close to a year, if not a year. And then it got to the point that he wanted me to move in with him. And I said yes. At this time, I'm still working. I still have my job. I said yes. And then I finally told my job that I was going to be leaving. And then things got a miscommunication. And I was like, no, I'm not leaving. And my job's like, I'm sorry, but we've already put it in. We already have you scheduled. I can't change it. So I left my job. And after that, I ended up getting another job. And I wasn't there except for maybe a few weeks. We figured things out. We never broke up. It's just we're misunderstanding each other. Again, I guess we weren't always the best at communication from the beginning. And so he found us a place, and he took a what is it, a bus? Greyhound. There we go. My mind is not the best always, guys. All the way down where I was, which is not the best to travel, but we had to drive the U-Haul, So, we did that. It was the most exciting trip because I had been to Illinois once. I flew. And didn't get a lot of exploring done. I mean, some, but not a lot. So, driving the U-Haul, when we left, my mom and my grandma were outside waving. And it broke my heart because you gotta remember, I'm 19 years old at this time. I'm moving with a man that I had not only met online, but... And I knew I was in love with this man. Don't get me wrong. Oh my gosh, was I in love. But everything was new and exciting. And I couldn't see my life without him. Don't get me wrong. But I've always been with my mom, and so now I'm leaving my mom, who I've never been without my whole life. I'm leaving my family. I'm leaving everything I know to move to Illinois to be with this man who I am absolutely in love with. So on the travel, it was fine. We were happy, we were talking, everything was fine, right? We stopped for the night. I don't think we got much sleep. I think we were both just too excited about starting our life together. So I think at 4 o'clock in the morning we got up and went out to eat. We did not get a lot of sleep that night. So we ended up heading back, to our new apartment. So we finally get there, and it's an okay complex. It is, the outside doesn't look the best. It has these steps that could break any minute, you feel like, going up them. But the apartment itself is adorable. It was a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, 1 bathroom, It was a cute apartment, and to this day, I love it, So we got our first apartment, and we went in, and let's just say we christened it. It was set up. There was a bed already and just different things because my in-laws and my sister-in-law went in and had pots and pans on the counters and just stuff to get me started. So that was nice. So I didn't know, obviously, how to be a wife or, anything like that. So when we moved here, he got everything out of the U-Haul by himself, pretty much. And, it was a crazy day that day. So, my in-laws at the time had called and invited us over after we got things put in the house. So, I had never met his family. I had never met his, parents or anything. And that was scary to me, right? What if they don't like me? What if, if they don't like me, how is he going to react? Am I going to be going home? Things like that. The things that go through your mind. And so I was kind of nervous about that, obviously. And I remember my sister-in-law came over and picked us up that day. And we're driving through town. Again, I was excited because this is things I had never seen. I have moved a lot of different places, but I had definitely never been to Illinois. So, it was new and exciting, to me. So, my sister-in-law comes and picks me up, or us up. And I talked to her a little, and we go through town. Sorry, guys, I'm tired. We go through town and driving, and I see this store. I didn't know it was a store at the time. I'm like, oh, there, you have Mariano's. I love eating there. My sister-in-law probably thought I was insane that day. So yeah, I went and met the rest of the family and everybody was welcoming and nice. I did not get to meet my father-in-law that day. Apparently he was not feeling well and so he was laying down that day. So but everybody was very welcoming. At that time it seemed like the family was really close and loving towards each other and really close. And so, we embarked on, I guess, a new adventure, right? So basically, we had a good time, and then came the day that basically he was like, here's the mop, here's the bucket, here's this, here's the quarters for the laundry, things like that. And I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? So he's like, well, I can teach you how to use it, it's not that I didn't know how to do things, but again, I was never a wife. I didn't, know what was expected, really. I know what I've seen on TV at that point, which was like, not Leave It to Beaver, but, I never watched that show really, but, I'm not that old. And yes, they had reruns, but, I didn't watch that kind of stuff. I watched I Love Lucy, I guess, but, anyways, but you know how, like, she's always dressed up, and they're always cleaning, everything's perfect, and so, I was like, I guess that's how I'm supposed to act, I don't know, so it took some time, in the beginning, that's kind of how I acted, by the time he got home, other than dinner, well, dinner was always fixed and ready when he got home. And the apartment was clean. Didn't take much to clean it. Again, a one-bedroom apartment. Doesn't take much. But also, by the time I moved up here is when and no matter how much we were dating, you put your best foot forward, and let's just say things kind of took a turn when I moved here. So bad that I wanted to go home at one point. He didn't act like the man that I kept meeting. That person was gone the day I moved here. And that is why I said marriages and relationships go through so many changes and is because I'm speaking out of experience with that. I went from walking to being blissfully happy, and absolutely in love, to everything I thought was my fault. And I was walking on eggshells. And I wouldn't talk back. And I wouldn't speak up. Well, I did yell back. But I went from that to, if I just do better and make this person happy and make things perfect and do this better, then everything will be fine, right? So I went from that lifestyle, to, finding that the guy that I was in love with, that I just left my whole family for, was also at, some point talking to other women. Then I got pregnant pretty fast. Now, when we had good times, we had great times. we would be spontaneous and go out of town all of a sudden and go out to dinner and go visit museums and go to the beach and go here and go there. So we were always on the go. And when we had great times, we had great times. We would sit and watch movies together, hang out with friends together, things like that. And when we had great times, we had great times. Then I got pregnant. So I didn't go home. Because nobody knew what was really going on, obviously. Outside the house, everybody acts happy and together, right? So, I got pregnant pretty fast. And I stayed. And that was interesting in itself. Let's just put it that way. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.